You know what the absolute saddest thing I have ever witnessed in this life is? It is not failure. It is not watching someone try their hardest and fall short. No. The saddest thing is watching a human being completely destroy themselves. Not because the world broke them, not because life dealt them an impossible hand, but simply because they believed a lie. A quiet, familiar lie that whispered in their own head every single morning. A lie that sounded exactly like their own voice. I am talking about the person who had the idea, the vision, the spark that could have altered the course of their entire bloodline. But they never even took the first step because that voice said, "You are not smart enough." I am talking about the artist, the writer, the dreamer who will eventually take their masterpiece to the grave, locked forever inside their chest, because every time they sat down to create, that invisible critic whispered, "Who do you think you are?" And here is the tragedy that should keep you awake at night. That voice was lying to you the entire time. Let me ask you something, and I need you to be brutally honest with yourself right now. How many times have you been your own worst enemy? How many times have you set the alarm the night before, filled with this incredible burning motivation to finally change your life, only to wake up and immediately start negotiating with your mattress? How many years have you spent stuck in the exact same cycle, waking up exhausted, chasing mindless distractions, making silent promises to yourself that you never actually keep, and secretly hoping that one day, by some miracle, things will just magically improve? I know that feeling. I know the crushing weight of wanting to change so desperately, of feeling that fire in your gut, but having absolutely no idea how to bridge the gap between where you are and where you know you are meant to be. We are sold this massive cultural lie that transformation requires years of therapy, decades of suffering, or some catastrophic life event to shake us awake. We are told that changing our identity is like moving a mountain, but that is simply not true. Your life does not get better by chance, it gets better by change. And change does not require a decade. It does not require a perfect alignment of the stars. It requires a decision, a sudden, unyielding decision to stop negotiating with your own laziness and fear. They say it takes 21 days to build a habit, but what if I told you that in just 7 days, one single fiercely focused week, you could become completely unrecognizable? Not just unrecognizable to the people around you, but unrecognizable to yourself. I'm talking about looking in the mirror next week and seeing a completely different energy staring back at you. A person who no longer makes excuses, a person who no longer hits snooze, a person who operates with an unshakable, quiet confidence. You do not need to overhaul your entire existence overnight. You do not need to climb a mountain or win the lottery. You already possess everything you need inside of you right this very second. What has been missing is urgency. What has been missing is clarity. What has been missing is the raw, unapologetic commitment to simply do what works. But here is where almost everyone gets it completely wrong. When you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, what do you usually do? You try to change everything all at once. You sit down with a piece of paper and you write a massive, unrealistic list. You tell yourself that starting tomorrow, you are going to wake up at 4 in the morning, you are going to work out for 2 hours, you are going to read 50 pages of philosophy, you are going to completely fix your diet, stop scrolling on your phone entirely, and start a multi-million-dollar business. And what happens? For 2 days, you feel like a superhero. You operate purely on the adrenaline of a new beginning. For 3 days, you white-knuckle your way through the sheer exhaustion. But by day 4, the motivation completely evaporates. Your willpower is drained. The old you violently pulls you back into the comfort zone, and you collapse right back into your old destructive habits. And then comes the worst part. You say something to yourself that quietly murders your self-esteem. You whisper, "Maybe I am just not that type of person." Listen to me very carefully. You did not fail because you are weak. You did not fail because you lack intelligence or potential. You failed because you overloaded the system. Real, lasting change is never loud and dramatic. It does not look like a movie montage. Real change is quiet. It is slow, deliberate, and fiercely protected. It starts so small that your brain does not even have the chance to resist it. If you want to become unstoppable, if you want to shift your identity in the next 7 days, you have to stop chasing motivation and start building momentum. And that momentum begins with one simple, unglamorous requirement. You must master the art of keeping one single promise to yourself. For the next 7 days, I do not want you to completely transform your entire existence. I want you to prove just one thing to your subconscious mind, that you are a human being who can keep your own word. You pick one habit, just one action that moves the needle of your life forward, and you defend it with everything you have. It could be reading 10 pages of a book that feeds your mind. It could be walking for 20 minutes in silence. It could be dedicating 1 hour of absolute deep focus to your craft. It does not matter what the specific habit is. What matters is the unbroken chain of your commitment. What matters is that you do it every single day without a single excuse, regardless of the weather, regardless of your mood, and regardless of who is watching. Because when you keep your word to yourself, something miraculous begins to happen inside your neurology. You stop viewing discipline as a punishment, and you start experiencing it as the highest form of self-respect. Every time you say you are going to do something and you actually force yourself to follow through, you are depositing evidence into your own mind. You are proving to yourself that you are no longer the person who quits when things get slightly uncomfortable. Confidence is not something you are born with. It is not an emotion you can simply summon by staring into a mirror and reciting positive affirmations. Confidence is built through undeniable proof. It is the stack of evidence that says you are a person of action. And the moment you begin to genuinely trust yourself, the moment your brain realizes that you actually mean what you say, the excuses instantly lose their power. You stop begging the universe to change your circumstances, and you start changing your own reality, quietly and repeatedly, without needing anyone's permission. But to do this, to truly become this unrecognizable force of nature in just 1 week, you have to radically change the way you approach the battlefield of your morning. The first hour of your day is not just a passage of time, it is the absolute foundation of your future. Most people lose the war for their destiny before their feet even touch the cold floor. The alarm rings and they immediately roll over, groaning, dreading the existence they have created for themselves. They reach blindly into the dark, grab that glowing piece of plastic, and instantly surrender their mind to the chaos of the world. They scroll through the highlight reels of strangers, absorbing negativity, comparison, fear, and outrage before they have even taken a conscious breath. If you do this, you are letting the world dictate your energy. You are choosing to live on the defensive. You are starting your day in a deep, agonizing deficit. If you want to shift from average to exceptional, from lost to fiercely focused, this behavior dies today. For the next 7 days, you do not touch your phone for the first hour of your morning. You do not let the noise of the internet infect your pure, untouched energy. Instead, you wake up with deliberate intention. You stand up. You claim the day. You realize that the silence of the early morning is a sacred gift, a fleeting window of time where you are not yet your problems, you are not yet your bills, and you are not yet your past failures. In that quiet hour, you possess the power to actively design the person you are about to step out the door as. You read, you pray, you breathe, you stretch your physical body, remembering that your body is the only vehicle you have been given to carry your purpose into this world. A weak, lethargic body creates a foggy, hesitant mind. When you move your body, you signal to your nervous system that you are alive, that you are engaged, and that you are preparing for victory. And as you move through this new morning ritual, you must become ruthlessly protective of the thoughts you allow to take root in your mind. The mind is a garden, and it does not care what you plant in it. It will return whatever you sow. If you plant the seeds of doubt, if you constantly feed yourself a diet of reasons why you cannot succeed, your mind will grow a suffocating forest of failure. But if you begin to speak to yourself with authority, if you change your internal dialogue from "I have to do this" to "I get to do this," you literally alter the chemical state of your brain. You have to understand that your words are not harmless. Every single time you complain, every single time you describe yourself as tired, unlucky, or behind in life, you are writing a script that your actions will inevitably follow. Stop bonding with people over mutual misery. Stop seeking comfort in the shared excuses of the average. If you truly want to become unrecognizable, you have to learn how to stand in the fire of your own discomfort without looking for an escape hatch. The difference between the unstoppable individual and the person who stays perpetually stuck is not the absence of fear or fatigue. Unstoppable people feel the exact same exhaustion you do. They feel the exact same terror when facing the unknown. The difference is entirely in their response. The unstoppable person hears the voice in their head screaming to quit, feels the heavy pull of lethargy in their bones, and calmly says, "Not today." And then they move their hands toward the work. Discipline is the invisible bridge between who you currently are and the breathtaking version of who you are meant to become. It is the ability to do what absolutely must be done, especially when you despise the thought of doing it. Most people spend their entire lives waiting for the perfect mood to strike. They wait for inspiration to magically fall from the sky and lift them off the couch. But motivation is a liar. Motivation is a fleeting emotion that abandons you the second things get difficult. Commitment, on the other hand, is a loyal soldier. Commitment shows up in the rain. Commitment shows up when you are tired, when you are angry, and when nobody is clapping for you. When you rely on commitment instead of motivation, you realize that action actually creates the feeling, not the other way around. You do not wait to feel confident to take action. You take action, and the confidence follows in its wake. And you must carry this intentionality all the way to the end of your day. You cannot become an unrecognizable force if you simply collapse into your bed every night without reflecting on the ground you just covered. Most people end their day by staring blankly at a screen until their exhausted eyes finally close, dragging the chaotic energy of today directly into tomorrow. But the master, the architect of a beautiful life, understands that tomorrow is actually won the night before. If you live each day on purpose, you will not waste years by accident. Take 10 quiet minutes before you sleep. Close the loop of your day. Ask yourself the hard, uncomfortable questions. What worked today? Where did I fall short? Where did I let distractions steal my focus? You do not ask these questions to shame yourself. You ask them to gather the intelligence necessary to be better tomorrow. You write down the 3 most critical targets for the next day. You lay out your clothes. You clear your workspace. You set your intention so firmly that when you wake up, you do not have to burn precious decision-making energy wondering what to do. You just execute. You wake up and you step seamlessly into the momentum you prepared the night before. This is how the wise live. This is how the unstoppable are forged in the quiet moments that no one else ever sees. You are going to realize something profoundly shocking over these next few days. The obstacles you thought were standing in your way, the lack of time, the lack of resources, the lack of support, were never the real barriers. The only thing that was truly standing in your way was the story you kept telling yourself about your own limitations. When you stop giving power to that story, when you simply put your head down and focus exclusively on the next right step, the illusion of impossibility shatters. You begin to understand that life is not happening to you. It is responding to you. It is responding to the standard you tolerate. If you constantly lower your standards just to make your life feel easier in the moment, life will give you the exact painful reality of mediocrity. But if you raise your standard, if you decide that for the next 7 days, you are going to demand absolute excellence from yourself in the small, unseen habits, the world will have no choice but to rise up and meet you at that new level. People will begin to look at you differently. They will feel an undeniable shift in your presence. When you walk into a room, you will not need to announce your arrival. Your energy, forged in the fires of your daily discipline, will speak a language so loud and so clear that it commands respect before you even open your mouth. But I must warn you, the journey to becoming this unrecognizable version of yourself is going to test every single fiber of your resolve. There is a specific point in this process, usually around the 3rd or 4th day, where the novelty completely wears off. The excitement of starting something new fades away, and you are left entirely alone with the raw, unglamorous grind. The soreness in your muscles will be real. The craving to scroll through your phone and escape the silence will be intense. The voice in your head, that familiar lying saboteur, will return with a vengeance. It will offer you the most perfectly logical excuses. It will tell you that one day off will not hurt. It will tell you that you have already done enough, that you deserve a break, that you can always pick it up again next week. This is the exact moment where your destiny is decided. This is the precise crossroad where 99% of humanity turns back, seeking the warm, suffocating embrace of the familiar. But not you, not this time. When that voice begs you to quit, I want you to smile at it. I want you to recognize it for what it truly is. It is simply the sound of your old identity fighting for its life. It is the sound of weakness leaving your body. You do not argue with it. You do not debate it. You step right over it. You push through the invisible wall of resistance, knowing that on the other side of that temporary pain lies the permanent pride of a promise kept. Imagine it right now. I want you to truly visualize what it will feel like to stand at the end of these 7 days. Picture yourself looking in the mirror 1 week from today. The fatigue in your eyes has been replaced by a sharp, piercing clarity. The slouch in your shoulders is gone, replaced by the upright posture of a person who carries the weight of their own potential with honor. You will feel a quiet, powerful stillness in your chest. The desperate need for external validation will have vanished, because you will have finally earned the most elusive and sacred validation of all, the deep, unshakable respect of your own soul. You will know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are no longer a victim of your circumstances. You are the undisputed author of your reality. This is not a fairy tale. This is the mathematical certainty of compounding discipline. Small choices, repeated with relentless consistency, inevitably build a monumental life. But the clock is ticking and the sand is falling through the hourglass of your existence. You cannot buy more time. You cannot rewind the years you have already spent living in the gray area of almost. The only power you have is located entirely in this exact breathing moment. The decision you make right now will either propel you into a future of unimaginable strength, or it will condemn you to repeat the exact same frustrating yesterday for the rest of your life. You are standing on the edge of the cliff. The wind is howling. The drop is terrifying. But the person you are destined to become is waiting for you at the bottom, begging you to finally take the leap. The question is not whether you are capable. You have survived every bad day you have ever faced. You have endured heartbreak, failure, and pain, and you are still here, still breathing, still fighting. The capacity for greatness is already woven into your DNA. The only question left to answer, the only question that truly matters as you look out into the vast, unknown territory of the next 7 days, are you finally ready to let the old you die so the unstoppable you can be born? Because the moment you make that choice, the very second you decide that going backward is no longer an option, the universe itself will shift to clear your path. But you have to take that first terrifying step into the dark. Because taking that very first step into the dark is going to trigger a reaction that you are probably not prepared for. When you finally decide to become unrecognizable, you have to understand that you are not just declaring war on your own bad habits. You are declaring war on the expectations of everyone who has ever known you. You see, the people in your life have placed you in a very specific box. They have assigned you a character in the movie of their own lives. They know you as the person who is always available, the person who complains with them, the person who drinks with them on the weekends to numb the pain of a mediocre existence, the person who will always settle for less. And the absolute terrifying truth is that your brokenness makes a lot of people feel incredibly comfortable. Your lack of progress acts as a soothing blanket for their own lack of ambition. But the moment you shift, the very second you start waking up early, protecting your peace, reading, moving your body, and refusing to engage in the toxic gossip that used to bond you together, you are going to disrupt their reality. You are going to hold up a blinding mirror to their own stagnation, and I promise you, they are going to hate what they see. They will not applaud you. They will not throw you a parade. Instead, the whispers will start. They will say you have changed. They will say you are acting arrogant. They will say you suddenly think you are better than everyone else. They will try with every ounce of their manipulative energy to drag you right back down into the crab bucket, because if you manage to escape, it proves that they could have escaped too, but they simply chose not to. You have to be ruthlessly prepared for this profound loneliness. You cannot carry dead weight up a mountain, and you absolutely cannot take everyone with you into this new chapter of your life. Becoming unrecognizable means you must be willing to let the old versions of your relationships die. You must stop apologizing for outgrowing the people who refuse to water their own roots. Do not shrink yourself just to make your presence more digestible for individuals who are committed to staying small. When they text you to come out and waste your precious hours and you say no, let them be mad. When they try to guilt trip you for choosing your future over their temporary entertainment, let them be offended. You do not owe anyone an explanation for saving your own life. The isolation you will feel in these next few days is not a punishment, it is a purification. It is the necessary clearing of the stage so that the truest version of yourself can finally step into the light. And as you clear that stage, you are going to notice something else standing in your way: your physical exhaustion. We need to have a brutally honest conversation about the vessel you are currently living inside. So many of you are walking around right now carrying a heavy, suffocating layer of shame because you think you are inherently lazy. You look at your lack of progress and you label yourself a procrastinator. You beat yourself up every single night because you couldn't find the motivation to work on your dream after your shift ended. But let me liberate you from that lie right now. You are not lazy. You are completely biologically drained. You cannot separate the machinery of your physical body from the brilliance of your mind. They are intrinsically, flawlessly connected. If you are constantly feeding your body processed garbage, if you are chronically dehydrated, if you are sitting completely still in a chair for 10 hours a day staring at a screen that is frying your dopamine receptors, and if you are sleeping 4 hours a night, how on earth can you expect your mind to operate at a genius level? You are trying to win the Daytona 500 in a car with flat tires and a blown engine, and then crying because you are losing the race. Energy is the absolute currency of the unstoppable. You cannot buy it, you cannot borrow it, and you cannot fake it. You have to generate it. If you want to transform your identity in just 7 days, you must begin treating your physical body like an elite instrument of execution. This is not about vanity. This is not about getting a six-pack to show off to strangers on the internet. This is about biological superiority. This is about ensuring that when your mind commands your body to move, your body actually has the fuel to obey. For the next week, you are going to intentionally move your body every single day. You are going to walk, you are going to run, you are going to lift, you are going to stretch, you are going to force the stagnant blood to flow through your veins. When you push your physical limits even just a little bit, you burn off the toxic cortisol that is keeping you anxious and depressed. You flush the heavy, lingering brain fog out of your system. You begin to walk differently. You begin to breathe differently. A strong, vital body naturally produces a sharp, unyielding mind. When you fix the physical engine, the mental hesitation disappears, and suddenly the tasks that felt like massive mountains just yesterday feel like small speed bumps today. But generating this immense physical and mental energy is entirely useless if you do not know how to protect it from the inevitable chaos of the world. Over the course of these 7 days, I can guarantee you that life is going to test your resolve. The universe is not just going to hand you a new identity on a silver platter. It is going to demand that you prove you actually deserve it. An unexpected bill will arrive in the mail. A client will cancel. Someone you trust will disrespect you. The car will break down. A crisis will erupt out of absolutely nowhere. In the past, this is exactly where you would have folded. The old you would have let that one negative event completely hijack your emotional state, ruin your entire day, and send you spiraling back into your destructive habits for comfort. If you want to be unrecognizable, you must train your mind to be terrifyingly calm in every single situation. When the storm hits, the average person panics. They react. They let their heart rate spike, their words get sloppy, and their emotions take the steering wheel. They surrender their power to the circumstance. But the unstoppable individual, they understand the profound, majestic power of the pause. When everything around you is catching fire, you do not throw your own gasoline on it. You step back. You take a slow, deep breath into your stomach. You look at the chaos objectively, not emotionally. You realize that you cannot control what the world does to you, but you possess absolute dictatorial control over how you respond to it. Calmness is not weakness. It is the ultimate expression of power. When someone insults you and you simply look at them with steady eyes and refuse to break your silence, you strip them of their weapon. When a massive problem arises and instead of complaining, you immediately start quietly calculating the solution, you bend the situation to your will. For the next 7 days, you are going to completely divorce your reactions from your circumstances. You are going to become an emotional fortress. Let the world scream. Let the obstacles multiply. Let the people around you lose their minds. You will remain the eye of the hurricane, unbothered, untouched, unshakable. Because a mind that cannot be disturbed by external noise is a mind that can conquer absolutely anything. And as you forge this inner fortress, you need to begin altering the outer reflection. You need to align your physical presentation with the destiny you are actively creating. I want you to go stand in front of a mirror right now. Really look at yourself. Look at the way your shoulders naturally rest. Look at the clothes you choose to wear when you are just lounging around, letting the hours slip away. Ask yourself a very painful question. Does the person staring back at me look like someone who is hunting greatness? Does this version of you look like a conqueror, or does it look like someone who has already surrendered to defeat? We have severely underestimated the psychological impact of how we present ourselves to the world, and more importantly, how we present ourselves to ourselves. You do not need to go out and buy an expensive wardrobe. You do not need designer labels. But you absolutely must stop dressing like your life does not matter. You must stop slouching through your days trying to take up as little space as possible. When you wake up, you groom yourself with intention. You wash your face. You put on clean clothes that make you feel sharp. You pull your shoulders back and you lift your chin. When you physically look the part, your internal chemistry literally alters. You stop making decisions from a place of insecurity and start making decisions from a place of authority. You begin to walk into a room and your mere presence announces that you are on a mission. The people around you will feel it in their gut. They won't know exactly what has shifted, but they will know they are standing in the presence of someone who deeply respects their own life. You are bridging the gap between the vision in your head and the reality of your reflection. But the vision and the reflection will quickly fade if you do not have a system to mathematically guarantee your progress. Motivation is a ghost. It haunts you for a few hours and then completely vanishes when the hard work actually begins. What you need is not motivation. What you need is undeniable evidence. You have spent years building a massive file of evidence in your brain that proves you are a quitter. Every time you hit snooze, every time you skipped a workout, every time you broke a promise to yourself, you made a withdrawal from your account of self-trust. Your account is bankrupt. That is why you feel like an imposter when you try to dream big. Your brain literally does not believe the words coming out of your own mouth. To become unrecognizable in 7 days, we have to aggressively flip that ledger. We have to start stacking deposits. And you do this through the relentless daily tracking of your micro wins. The human brain is hardwired to focus on the massive gap between where we are and the mountain peak we are trying to reach, which makes us feel overwhelmed and paralyzed. We forget to look down at our own feet. For the next 7 days, you are going to get a notebook, and every single night before you go to sleep, you are going to physically write down one specific victory from that day. Not a massive, life-altering triumph, a small, quiet, brutal victory. I wanted to sleep in, but I stood up anyway. I wanted to scroll on my phone for an hour, but I put it in the drawer and read 10 pages instead. I wanted to eat the garbage food to cope with my stress, but I drank water and went for a walk. You write it down, you document your discipline, because day after day, as you look at that list, something profound clicks inside your neurology. The evidence begins to outweigh the doubt. You stop hoping that you will be successful, and you start looking at the undeniable proof that you are currently succeeding. The fear of failure completely evaporates because you are no longer focused on the distant outcome. You are entirely consumed by the mastery of the current step. You realize that you are not stuck, you are moving, you are growing, you are evolving in real time. And when you finally have the evidence to back up your ambition, your confidence transforms from a fragile wish into a weapon of mass construction. You are building an unstoppable momentum, a quiet, furious rhythm that is slowly burning away the weak, hesitant version of your identity. You are pushing through the exhaustion, ignoring the critics, calming the internal chaos, standing tall in the mirror, and documenting your undeniable rise. You are doing everything right. You can feel the transformation taking hold in your bones. But as you approach the final stretch of this 7-day crucible, the universe is going to throw one last terrifying obstacle in your path. It is an obstacle that no one ever talks about, a silent assassin that destroys more potential than failure ever could. As you step out of the shadows of your old life and begin to actually touch the greatness you have been chasing, you are going to realize that the most dangerous enemy is not the fear of falling back down. It is the absolutely paralyzing, suffocating terror of what happens if you actually win. It is the absolutely paralyzing, suffocating terror of what happens if you actually win. We spend so much of our lives talking about the fear of failure, but the truth that nobody ever wants to whisper out loud is that success is infinitely more terrifying. Think about it. If you fail, you get to keep your warm, comfortable excuses. If you fail, you get to retreat right back into the familiar blanket of self-pity. You get to sit with your friends and complain that the world is unfair, that the system is rigged, that you tried your best, but the universe just wasn't on your side. Failure requires absolutely no sustained responsibility. It asks nothing of you tomorrow. But winning, truly stepping into the unrecognizable, unstoppable version of yourself, that demands a level of accountability that will shake you to your absolute core. When you start keeping your promises, when your discipline actually begins to yield undeniable physical results, you suddenly lose the right to play the victim. You can no longer blame your boss, your past, your circumstances, or your genetics. You are forced to stand entirely naked in the blinding light of your own capability, realizing that you possessed the power all along, and that realization, the deeply uncomfortable truth that you were the only one holding yourself back, is a heavy, breathtaking cross to bear. It means that from this moment forward, you are completely responsible for your own trajectory. You cannot unsee your own strength. Once you prove to yourself that you can bend reality to your will in just 7 days, you can never again pretend that you are powerless. As you reach the end of this 7-day crucible, your ego will launch its final, most desperate and vicious assault. It will try to convince you that you are a total imposter. It will whisper in the dark that this new discipline is just a temporary phase, a fleeting surge of motivation, and that sooner or later, the real you will inevitably return and sabotage it all. It will point to all your past failures as undeniable evidence that you are destined to collapse. When that thought creeps into your mind, creeping up your spine like a cold chill in the middle of the night, I want you to literally laugh at it. Because the real you is not the lazy, fearful, compromising shadow you are leaving behind. The real you is the one who woke up early when the bed was seductively warm. The real you is the one who moved the body when the muscles screamed in agony. The real you is the one who chose the painful, beautiful path of growth over the silent, suffocating decay of comfort. Do not ever let your history dictate your identity. You are not the mistakes you made yesterday. You are the standard you are willing to fiercely defend today. You must understand that day 7 is not a finish line. Oh, it is a launch pad. If you can hold the line for 1 week, you have already proven that the word impossible was just a lie you were actively choosing to believe. If you can do it for 7 days, you can absolutely do it for 14. If you can bleed for 14 days, you can carry it into a month. And once you cross that threshold, you are no longer a person who is simply trying to change. You have already changed. Your entire nervous system has been biologically rewired. The fragile neural pathways of hesitation have withered away, replaced by the thick, undeniable cables of execution. You will wake up and you won't even ask yourself if you feel like doing the work. You will simply ask, what is the practice today? And your body will seamlessly move to execute it. The world outside of you will start to react to this internal shift. People will treat you differently, not because you demanded their respect with loud words, but because your energy silently demands it. Opportunities that used to slip through your fingers will begin to gravitate toward you as if pulled by a magnet. People who used to overlook you or talk over you will suddenly pause and seek your counsel. But here is the most beautiful part of becoming unrecognizable. You will not care about their applause. You will not care about the external recognition. You will stop seeking validation from a world that doesn't even know what it wants, because the most profound reward of this entire process is completely internal. It is that quiet, sacred peace that settles deep in your chest when you finally look in the mirror and genuinely, unapologetically respect the human being looking back at you. As you step out of this week and into the vast expanse of the rest of your life, remember that true progress is never loud. It does not need to be broadcasted to the world. It does not need a filter, a viral hashtag, or an audience of strangers clapping for your daily routine. The world does not reward your potential. It solely and brutally respects your consistency. Keep your focus incredibly narrow. Finish what matters. Raise your standards in absolute private, and let your discipline do all the heavy lifting. You do not owe anyone an explanation for the boundaries you are setting to protect your time. You do not owe anyone an apology for the dizzying heights you are reaching. Let your daily actions speak in a language that cannot be debated or manipulated. Let your physical presence announce your evolution before you even utter a single syllable. Time is the one resource you cannot afford to negotiate with. You can lose a fortune and earn it all back. You can rebuild a shattered business. You can even repair broken relationships. But once an hour is gone, once a single morning is wasted scrolling through the digital noise of other people's lives, it vanishes into eternity, never to be recovered. And yet, the vast majority of humanity drifts through their days reacting to whatever is thrown at them, busy but completely stagnant, moving but going absolutely nowhere. The people who rise above the noise, the ones who build lives of undeniable impact and leave a legacy that echoes through generations, are not granted a 25th hour in the day. They simply refuse to surrender the hours they have. They act with terrifying urgency while the rest of the world procrastinates. They plan with surgical intention while the rest of the world merely drifts. But I need you to realize something much bigger than yourself right now. This transformation, this beautiful, violent shedding of your old skin is not just about your personal success. It was never just about you getting a better job or a better body or a bigger bank account. We live in a world that is absolutely starved for light. We live in a society where millions of people are silently drowning in the exact same quicksand of doubt, fear, and average living that you are actively crawling out of right now. When you choose to become unstoppable, when you refuse to bow down to the heavy gravity of mediocrity, you become a living, breathing beacon of hope for everyone whose eyes are on you. You become the undeniable physical proof that it can be done. Someone in your family is waiting for you to break the generational curse that has kept your bloodline stuck for decades. Someone in your circle of friends is secretly watching your every move, desperately waiting for you to set a new standard so that they finally feel they have the permission to dream bigger themselves. You are not an accident. You are an assignment. You were placed on this earth in this exact moment in history with your specific set of struggles and your specific scars to do something that absolutely no one else can do. Do you understand the staggering weight of that? If you quit, if you surrender, if you choose to remain recognizable to the people who want you to stay small, you are not just robbing yourself of a good life. You are robbing the world of the greatness you were specifically designed to deliver. The clock is ticking. The sand is pouring through the hourglass, and no amount of wishing, hoping, or praying will ever pause it. Stop treating your life like it is a dress rehearsal for some grand performance in the future. This is the performance. This is the only stage you get. Stop waiting for the perfect conditions, because the perfect conditions are a myth constructed by people who are terrified to fail. The most powerful, courageous, and beautiful decision you can ever make in this lifetime is to start right now exactly where you are with exactly what you have, even if your hands are shaking and your heart is beating out of your chest. You do not need a new personality. You do not need someone else's approval. You need one single, unshakable decision, a decision to draw a line in the sand and declare that the person you were yesterday is dead, and the person you are becoming today is absolutely non-negotiable. Look at your life. Look at the vast, unwritten days ahead of you. You can either repeat the past, suffering the exact same pains and frustrations year after year, or you can completely pioneer the future. The choice is entirely yours, and absolutely no one can make it for you. You have been waiting for a sign. This is your sign. You have been waiting for someone to give you a push. Consider this the ultimate push. The universe is looking you dead in the eyes right now, challenging you. It is asking you, quietly but with immense pressure, who is really in charge here? Is it your fear? Is it your past? Is it your desire for comfort? Or is it your destiny? Rise up. stand tall, take absolute dictatorial control of your mind, your physical body, and your precious time. Become so deeply and violently committed to your own evolution that the old version of you becomes a total stranger. Step directly into the fire, endure the blistering heat of discipline, and walk out the other side as something beautifully, completely, and undeniably unbreakable. Your time is not tomorrow. Your time is not someday. Your time is right now. Go make yourself unrecognizable.